Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from Breitbart. This is dated November 15th, and I don't know if anybody's heard of this yet. It seems to be starting to make the rounds at the time that I'm recording this. It says House Democrat calls for shadow government to undermine Trump with Adam Schiff as fake AG. I don't know about you folks, but this sounds somewhat insurrection-y to me. So let's go ahead and see what is happening here. So it says Democrat Rep Wiley Nickel, that's a heck of a name, Democrat North Carolina, is so bereaved by Vice President Kamala Harris's loss and President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks that he is suggesting Democrats take action and form a shadow government operating to oppose the Trump agenda that the majority of the country voted for, not majority if the country voted for. Come on, Breitbart, get a little better with your editing there. It says Nickel put forth his idea in an op-ed in the Washington Post, because of course it was the Washington Post, if not it would have been like the New York Times, asserting that it is time for America to borrow from our British friends and appoint a shadow cabinet to fight back against the worst excesses of a second Trump administration. I love how this dude basically says, I'm going to try to start an insurrection, and actually has a newspaper publish that. Okay? Just the balls on this dude. As he laid out his vision on the House floor, asserting that new times call for new solutions. Is that like a different version of like the modern problems require modern solutions thing? I mean, yeah, it's not going to work. Again, you're if this actually is something that you are doing, like you're committing a crime, like a grievous crime. It's not just insurrection. It's actually, this is like actual treason. But it says, quote from him, it says, last week stung. As Democrats, we simply failed to convince the American people we have better ideas to solve their problems, but we do. And no, you don't. Says now we need to dust ourselves off and get ready to fight, he said. We can't let Donald Trump's extreme MAGA agenda, which it isn't, and you're just parroting language there. You're not actually thinking for yourself, because they all say that same thing. Donald Trump's extreme MAGA agenda. It's not. MAGA is actually quite centrist if you actually looked at it. So he says, we can't let Donald Trump's extreme MAGA agenda go unanswered or unopposed, he continued, walking through his pitch to borrow from our British friends and appoint a shadow cabinet to fight back against the worst abuses of a second Trump administration. Schumer said, and Schumer, I guess, well, it doesn't even say Chuck Schumer in here first, so they just went right to Schumer. So again, Breitbart, should say Chuck Schumer before you go just say Schumer. Like, he should be mentioned in there, otherwise it's like Schumer who, but obviously we know, because there's only one in Congress. So the special relationship between the United States and Britain extends not just to our strength on the global stage, but also to our shared commitment to democracy. Across the Atlantic, the British have something we don't. A team from the opposition that mirrors the government's own cabinet members. They watch the cabinet closely, publicly challenging, scrutinizing, and offering new ideas. I did not know that, because I don't know much about British politics. Does he describe this as another form of checks and balances? So, they're basically just saying, yeah, that's not how it works here, though. And just because you guys lost an election doesn't mean you get to, try to screw with things. It says it's democracy's insurance policy, and it strengthens the government, too. We don't need to strengthen the government. We need to get rid of a lot of it. So there's no room for lazy ideas when rivals stand ready to step in, he claimed. I love how it's like when they lose, and here's an embedded tweet from him, when they lose, it's like we need to do everything we can to make sure that our power isn't taken away. It's like the definition of sore loser. It says Nickel provided specific examples of who he believes should fill some of these shadow cabinet positions, beginning with infamous Russia collusion hoax spreader and Senator-elect Adam Schiff. Yeah, that would be like the worst possible human being. Like, he might be the worst person in Congress, and that's saying a lot. It says if Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, not making no mention whatsoever of Joe Biden doing that exact thing right now as I'm recording this. Says we can see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists, he said, ignoring the great irony, and here it is, they're going to say what I just said, ignoring the great irony that Democrats have used the justice system to target their political opponents, Trump and his supporters, throughout the entirety of the Biden-Harris administration. And as I've started saying, and I don't know if I've actually said this on a video before, I said it to other people, is that everything that the Democrats, whenever they give examples of stuff like this, they always have an example from their own side that matches what they're saying Republicans might do, or it's an example that's worse than anything they say Republicans are doing. So he just conveniently leaves out that his side is doing the exact thing he's complaining that the Republicans will do. Deep breath. It says, if Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, he's not going to seek to do it. He's going to do it. It says, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, don't know who that is, a former teacher of the year, don't care, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States. He said, no, a huge part of the problem that we're having in this country right now is the Department of Education, so it needs to go. It says, if Trump orders Marco Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, no one's doing that. It says Congressman Greg Meeks, a shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad. And I'm going to switch democracy out with bureaucracy, and it probably makes more sense that way. So it says he continued, pitching Senator Michael Bennet, Democrat of Colorado, as shadow Treasury Secretary, Congresswoman Susan Delbene, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, Democrat of Wisconsin, as Shadow Commerce Secretary, and Representative Adam Smith, Democrat of Washington, as Shadow Defense Secretary. He believes Smith could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents, which he's not going to do and never said he would, and work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not a wannabe dictator. The dictator thing was a joke. How you idiots haven't figured that out yet, I don't know. Okay? Everybody knew it was a joke at the time. Okay, and of course he's going to stay loyal to the Constitution. The man reveres the Constitution more than you do, given what you're talking about right here in this article, sir. It says Nickel also sounded the alarm over former Representative Lee Zeldin, Republican in New York, leading the EPA, pitching Representative Kathy Castor, Democrat of Florida, to protect the air we breathe and the water we drink. Well, Lee Zeldin's there to get rid of a lot of the stupid regulations that are just holding things up, so I think we'll be fine. And if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide, which he has said how many times now that he has no intention of doing, and it's going to be left up to the states, and I think that's going to be mentioned here as well. Again, even before I continue on with this quote, he's bringing up stuff that he's basically just going with whatever he's been told, as opposed to looking stuff up for himself. I'm going to start this quote over. It says, and if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro could step in as a shadow Secretary of Health and Human Services to defend women's right to choose, Nickel continued, despite the fact that Trump has made it very clear he agrees with allowing the states to decide, as they now can do thanks to the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. So the Democrat congressman made it abundantly clear that the shadow cabinet is for opposing extreme MAGA attacks on our government, as well as making clear what we stand for, not just what we're against. No, you're the bad guy here, dude. You're the villain. You are very much the villain, okay? And you don't get to sit here, and I wonder what this dude said after, like, January 6th or something, and I would say, like, you're planning something worse than anything that happened on January 6th there, okay? And this dude probably should be investigated to some degree. It's not going to happen because Trump is not in office for another couple months, but if this is something that's going on, this is actual treason here, buddy. I wouldn't even say you're walking a fine line. Like, you're kind of stepping over it just by talking about it. But yeah, so did you guys hear about this? Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Do you agree with this guy, or do you think he's a kook? Do you think he should be taken seriously? Do you think he should be investigated? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.